So, over the years, there's been various efforts to try and reboot the show. Remember, of course, there was Johnny Byrne with Message from Moonbase Alpha, and after they did Message, Johnny worked along with some other people to try to get a new series going. It didn't happen. There have been a couple of other people who have tried to get it going, and it didn't happen. We were involved with one of those efforts with Chris Penfold and a fellow from Montreal called Eric Bernard, who some of you probably know. And we were working on a project which is going to be called Moonbase Alpha Legacy. And so it was going to be, Warren is here. So it was going to be a continuation, and it was going to be following the concepts that Johnny had laid out in Message from Moonbase Alpha and just carrying it further on. The idea that Johnny had was, or one of the ideas in Message, was that the moon was on a slingshot trajectory, which would return it to the planet that they had colonized, return it there 25 years later. And so the idea of our Moonbase Alpha Legacy was basically 25 years later, this colony is well established, doing well, but the prophecy, the moon was going to return, and the moon does return. But in the build-up to that, of course, there are people who haven't loved living on this planet for the past 25 years. There's also a new generation who have only lived on the planet and have only heard about Moonbase Alpha and really want to go there and see it, It's like this sort of legendary thing to them. And so when the moon returns, some of these people do go back up to the moon and end up staying. The moon is not stopping. The moon is going to keep going. And so there's this new group that, not all new, some of them old, original people, along with a bunch of new people who go from the planet and recolonize Alpha. And like Johnny had talked about that where has Alpha been for 25 years? What has happened to it? Who has visited it? What alien presences might have been there? What is functional and what isn't functional? What presence might still be there? There's a lot of those sorts of story kernels, ideas that Johnny had talked about that weren't necessarily in Message. Some of them were, but not necessarily all of them. But Johnny talked about them, and he left those kernels, and we picked up those kernels and continued them with our efforts for Moonbase Alpha Legacy. So the sad thing there was that Chris Penfold, of course, with his connections, was able to get this to ITV in the UK as a pitch, but they never heard the pitch. They never listened to the pitch because they weren't interested. And the response that came back, I remember the exact quote. The exact quote that came back to Chris Penfold was, "That door is firmly shut." ITV had no interest in our return to Space Antonetic or doing anything with it. And so that shut us down. There was nothing else we could do. We had a full pilot script for a 2-hour premiere movie. We had episode outlines. We had all these story ideas. We had all this stuff. We had pre-production design artwork that Eric Chu, you guys were talking about the new Battlestar Galactica, the reboot Battlestar Galactica. The fellow who designed the new Galactica, the new Cylon Raiders, the new Base Stars, the new Cylons, he designed, I'm right to say the Cylons?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
He designed all those things and more. Is a designer called Eric Chu. And so Eric Chu, he's also known to Galactica fans as the Cylon God. That's their nickname for him. But he was our production designer and is our friend as well. And so Eric Chu did all this fantastic pre-production design artwork for us with the Eagles and the planet and all this stuff. Wonderful, wonderful things. So we had a great package, and ITV simply wasn't interested in hearing it. So that's the real sad, brick wall that we ran into that we ran into when we had that effort. And I think it was probably the same brick wall that Johnny Byrne ran into when he tried, and perhaps the same brick wall that Jeffrey Morris ran into, and the other guy who I don't want to mention his name. Jace Hall.
Yeah.
Jace Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Ran into I don't know, he ran into something.
That's
Me. But anyway.
Oh,
yeah.
he loved you.
No, Jeffrey Morris did one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was trying to.
Yeah. So anyways, there's that brick wall of ITV that has been a real conundrum for efforts to try to do something with Space 1999, which is really, really sad. I mean, you know, there could have been at different times different things done with it. Some of those possibilities still exist. Some of them aren't really viable anymore because of the age of the original cast members now. You know, it would be pretty hard to, even the best of them, you know, Nick's in good shape, Barbara's in good shape, but I mean, you know, I can't see that happening. So it would have to be a reboot, or it would have to be a continuation further down the line. But if you do that, how do you do that? It's not really possible, because where's the audience for that? You know, the audience would have no history of historical knowledge of what came before in the storyline. So you can't do that. The only thing you could do now would probably be a reboot, or an animated series, right? You could do that.
You can do some incredible animation now.
Yeah. So you could do things like that. So that's the kind of backstory there. Do you guys have any questions about that stuff that I was just talking about? No? Have I bored you yet?
Sorry.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Sound effects.
Thank you. Yeah, Charlene is here for sound effects. We're saved. And so I think I've said what I want to say about that. I've been telling you that as a preamble because
fast forward to more recently.
And at the convention in London last year, Warren premiered a little piece with narration by Anton Phillips as Bob Mathias. Did you all hear that? Were you there to hear that? Did any of you? Some of you heard that? Saw that? Yeah. And maybe Warren would like to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that was something that, as Bob was saying, we put together to premiere along with Breakaway last year, the special edits. And I worked with Anton and came up with a little narrative. He was kind enough to provide the audio samples, and we put it together. And we're trying to get things working here so we can actually show you guys. It is online, and I'll make sure everybody can see it afterwards, of course. But it was pretty heartfelt and went over very well. And as Bob was saying as well, it all came from seeds planted in message from Moonbase Alpha 25 years ago, and it was just to serve as a teaser for more to come. And so here's where we're at today with a little new information on the teaser that was dropped a year ago, along with Steve now and Tammy's help moving forward. If we can't get it, you can also see it on the new YouTube podcast, Space 1999. This episode, it is on there. And actually, Catherine Bougeot did a special edition of it with some new visuals as well. So a couple different versions of it out there. Sorry we can't play it for you. But
have you given up?
we might see Roy back. Roy's like the Flash, you know.
Okay.
But,
all right. So they're going to keep working on that.
Unfortunately not. The other thing, that's okay, Steve. Don't worry.
What am I supposed to talk about?
Well, why don't you just tell us about your life?
I was born a small black child.
Charlene, what would you like to talk about?
See if I can read from a passage in the book about
Tony.
I just have a question for you. You know, with all the work that was done to try to present a new idea, you know, for Legacy Series,
Yeah.
you know, still have all of that material, all of that
Yep.
work. And there's so many options now out in the world with various channels and any
But the
chance
rights
of
are
somebody
owned by
else
ITV.
Still, they are.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
So
will-
ITV owns the Space 1999. So there's nothing anybody can do with it unless ITV does it, right, or approves of it. Or sells it, but they don't seem. I mean, they haven't. They own a lot of Anderson shows, and they don't seem to have a lot of interest in rebooting them or in doing more, because they're not making new versions of any of them, are they? You know, well, there was that Thunderbirds recently, wasn't there? But that was I never saw that.
It was fun.
Was it?
No,
Yeah.
there was the 2004 Jonathan Frakes movie.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But I mean, that's going back 20+
Yeah.
years. So yeah. So
How
no.
many Canada's 50 years?
No, but the rights are still owned. The rights are still owned by you know, and they keep renewing the contract that they own it. You know, so there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Unfortunately, yeah. But you know, we can create new shows, can't we? Steve and I worked with Chris Penfold on a new show. I may as well talk to you about that. It's called, we're gonna do a panel tomorrow, but it's called Helios. And it came from, this is Steve, for those of you who don't know.
I am Steve.
And it came from us being together with Chris at Steve's place in Florida quite a number of years ago. And we were talking, you know, about the state of the world and everything and science fiction ideas. We were watching a couple of movies at the time. I think we might have watched Gravity.
Yeah, Gravity.
I don't think Chris had seen Gravity yet at that point, so
And
we
this was
showed.
actually Chris's first. The funny thing is, we also went to the Space Center right there.
We went to the Space Center,
And, you know, we were
the Rocket Garden,
Yep, the Rocket Garden. And
Yeah.
we were talking about that. You know,
at the Space Coast,
Yep.
near where Steve's place is. Yeah, and so all of that kind of, and we, the ideas got, you know, started bubbling up to the surface, and we came up with this concept for a show called Helios. We then kept developing. We wrote a script, which over the years has been rewritten many, many times. And what happened was we, at one point, had a package for Helios where we felt comfortable and ready to pitch it to production companies here in LA, and also a little bit in England as well.
Yeah.
But so we had some terrific help from a couple of our really dear friends who are in the audience here, Mary and Tom McLaren, who have been part of the Helios journey for many years. And Mary set up a number of meetings for us with different production companies in LA. We pitched Helios. We got quite close, you know, I would say maybe once. And unfortunately it didn't happen. And then a little bit of time passed, and Steve and I were talking about what we had, the existing script for Helios, and what had happened with those pitch meetings and all of that. And I had an idea to just sort of come at it from a different angle. You know, we had been telling this big kind of grand story from the beginning, involving, I don't want to tell you
Yeah, we don't
too
want to go
much,
there,
but it was a big story we were telling at the beginning. And I said, well, why not come at it from a smaller angle? You know, give a gateway drug
Right.
entry point
More
to
personal,
the
yeah.
bigger thing. So that you're starting with a little story about two characters. A woman, this is post-apocalyptic, a woman surviving in an Airstream trailer in the American desert, who is able to make radio contact with a guy who is not where she is, somewhere else. And they end up striking up this long distance voice message, you know, talk, conversation, relationship, which then develops and becomes essentially becomes a love story for two people who never actually meet until the end of the pilot. And I don't want to give things away, but I think that it's a wonderful little, it's an intimate story, a way to get into this bigger universe, which then will start to open up in subsequent episodes. And so we rewrote it.
We rewrote it.
We wrote this new script, and suddenly it had a completely new, fresh vibe, and we loved it. And
Hollywood still.
well, I don't know that Hollywood. Tammy said Hollywood hates everything.
Unless you come with a name attached.
Yeah. So it was a difficult road, but we finally decided, what we had to do was prove the IP. You know, you hear so often about shows that are being done, they're based on this, they're based on that. Okay, so it comes from somewhere. There's a video game, there's an audio drama, there's a book, there's something which is IP. And so we decided to prove the IP by starting an audio drama production, which is what we have done. We've done a full cast audio production of the 2-hour pilot, starring Tom McLaren, one of our actors.
Well, don't put me first.
Well, you're here. It stars Nick Tate.
Yeah, let's put him first.
It stars Nick Tate. It stars Anthony Montgomery from Star Trek Enterprise, along with his Star Trek Enterprise cohorts, Connor Trenier and Dominic Keating, who are in the cast. It stars an incredible actress called Cindy Dolans, who starred in the TV series La Femme Nikita, and she was actually discovered out of drama school in the UK. She's Canadian. She was discovered by Stanley Kubrick for his last film, Eyes Wide Shut. So that's a pretty cool thing to have on your resume as an actor. And so Cindy came to us. She was actually recommended by Susie Landau, Martin and Barbara's daughter. So, you know, there's all these kind of interwoven things which are interesting and amazing. And we've done this audio drama, which is fantastic, and we love it. And we'll have a lot more to say about it at our panel tomorrow, which we hope you'll all be at, and along with a whole bunch more people.
So 1 o'clock tomorrow,
That's good. Thanks, Jimmy.
Helios panel,
Yeah.
definitely be there, or B square, or some other kind of parallelogram, but yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready, Warren?
I think so. Jimmy, thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jimmy.
All right, so that's good timing. I talked a bit about Helios, and I'm turning it back over to Warren.
That's great. So I watched the little teaser from last year.
You want the lights out?
Yeah. Could somebody just grab the lights at the back of the room then?
We have them on for Barbara's thing.
Thanks, Frida.
Focus is there.
Grab these ones too, Frida. Sorry. Yeah. There should be another switch there. There, perfect. Okay. So this was tacked onto the end of Breakaway, just so you know.
Status report, Dr. Robert Mathias recording. September 13th, 1999. A tragic day in history that changed all our lives forever. Exactly 50 years ago today. While our first 25 years were spent wandering the vastness of space, the remainder of that time has been spent here on Terra Alpha. And with many of us divided on whether or not we should have settled here in the first place. Although we've faced many challenges, we've adapted and grown into a thriving community once again. In the last few years, we've even discovered remnants of an ancient civilization buried beneath the surface. In a few months' time, the moon will be returning. Its slingshot trajectory will bring it just close enough for reconnaissance, but sadly, for the last time. After that, it'll be hurled even deeper into the cosmos, likely never to return. We don't know where the moon's been or what it's encountered in all that time. But recently, a few of us have made a very hard decision. We're going back. We've chosen to continue the journey along with our families. What mysteries and wonders await us? We'll find out soon enough, together. It's hard to believe, but after all these years, we're going back to Moonbase Alpha.
There we go.
Yeah.
Anton did a lovely job with that, and we thank him. So then from there, I think the only other thing we were going to mention for today as far as new developments, of course,
Yep.
we've onboarded Steve and Tammy, of course, along with the project, and do you want to talk
And
about
Robert as well.
Oh, yeah, Robert, of course, been there from the beginning, of course. Yeah, of course. We wouldn't be here without you, Bob, so. But we'll look about that Kickstarter.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, well, Warren came to me and we had, was trying to look at what we could do to really put Nick in the Eagle cockpit again, for lack of a better explanation. And so as I was looking at it, and we have talked about this a little bit in London at the convention,
Yep.
and we're like, well, Warren's like, we really need something with Alan and an eagle for like 5 minutes. I'm like, okay. So, we put, I was looking at what we could do for a character piece. And I put something together, and with Robert's blessing, of course, and something that I think Chris Penfold would have really enjoyed. Basically along the lines of what you just seen. And it's really Nick Tate's character going back to Moonbase Alpha. And shortly thereafter, the next question was, well, could you do something for Barbara? And Helena Russell's character said, well, sure, absolutely. So we put something there as well. And then we also decided, well, we'll also do something for Robert Mathias, that character. So we have a set of scripts, very short, really like about 5 minutes a piece, I would say. Very character-driven, stuff that we could do reasonably easily, as a fan production kind of thing, with some kind of funding, obviously, and something that would be done very professionally, well, you want to?
Sure. Well, I mean, from there, what we sort of had in mind, and as of today, I think the route we're going to go is probably within a month or two, we'd like to actually launch a fundraising Kickstarter or GoFundMe, something like that, to help fund the production.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be something that you'll all see and hear in the next couple of months to help bring this to reality, if you will. So,
and they're written very close, not only in scene but also in a heart. I think they're very much character pieces, and the characters certainly come out. They're also made to be done be very doable as well. And Mr. Exler, you want to talk to him? Hello.
another special guest. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
The other thing is having the Eagle set itself. We were so fortunate that last year everybody saw Daryl's Eagle, right? And if it all works out, that's the perfect spot to film Nick. So
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a plan. We're looking at possibly doing a crowdfunder to get some source funding for it and see where we could go. We're going to certainly be using some AI technology with it, along with some sets that we have available to us.